Okay, let me just start out here with a disclaimer. I like Mortal Shell. I like Mortal Shell a lot. It's a fucking awesome Souls-like game. It deserves a lot of credit for being able to be mentioned in the same breath as Dark Souls without feeling like a direct copy. And I would definitely put it in the upper echelon of Souls-like games, even if for me it's not quite 100% up there. Souls game is a tough bar. But for a small indie dev, it's fucking impressive. Now that being said, I have some problems with this being called Mortal Shell Enhanced Edition because it's not quite as enhanced as it kind of should have been. The game was announced to be 4K 60 and to run, with higher textures. And it delivered on some of those promises. But let's just get out of the way. Mortal Shell on no system is by any means 4K, or even remotely approaching 4K. On PS5, it's 1440p, and on Xbox Series X, it has a dynamic resolution, but 90% of the time it's 1800. So you have a quarter of 4K, and then you have 2/3 of 4K, but not 4K. So, this is not just a complaint against Mortal Shell, mind you. This is honestly a complaint against really anyone, game company that says 4K when it's not. Now, if you have a sliding resolution scale that, is 4K, but it can dip lower and stuff, that's okay. But when you have a game like this, that's at max 1400p on PS5, don't advertise it as 60 FPS, 4K, because it's not. It's misleading. Now, the developers of this game have stated that they're going to release a patch, that this was a bug, and that will bring the PS5 version up to 1800p. My problem with that, however, is that's still not 4K. For one, and for two, the game on Xbox, which is 1800p, can have frame rate drops more than you'd think. And PS5 is not as powerful as Series X. Right now, PS5 is the most stable of the next-gen versions, probably owing to its low resolution, and putting that in 1800p might actually make it worse, so it's like a catch-22 situation. In which case, I genuinely hope that they allow you to choose modes. Do you want to go 1800p and have less unstable frame rate, or do you want to go, 1400p or lower and have it locked, or close to locked? Because when too many people get on screen, this game has problems. So devs, you need to stop saying 1400p, is 4K. And you're not even using a temporal reconstruction to get up to 4K, which honestly could be a valid tactic. You're just doing 1440p and calling it 4K. And another thing that's kind of disturbing, okay, lots of games lately have been getting next-gen patches, which is great. But they've been able to do so without really switching them to a brand new next-gen version. Ghost of Tsushima got a huge update to 60 FPS. Still the PS4 version. Days Gone actually raised the base resolution up to like dynamic checkerboarded 4K and 60 FPS. Still the PS4 version. Well, people found that Mortal Shell, is also 1400p on the PS4 version. It sticks to that number more closely on PS5, but it's still basically the same resolution as PS4 Pro. They just doubled the frame rate and added some better textures. So I'm wondering why they had to go to the separate trouble of literally making a separate PS5 version you had to download, when this honestly seems like what you could get in just a regular next-gen patch. I mean, overall, I don't care, because they were lucky enough to give it away for free to anyone who had it. So I guess you could say you got a brand new game for your game collection. But it just... I'm not a huge fan of doing that. You know? And I will go to bat, and I will defend this game. And even the upgrade, okay? Because, while it's not perfect, and it can chug a little bit here and there, it's mostly 60 FPS, and in a game like this, it feels fucking great. So it still is an upgrade. 60 FPS is more important to me. Okay? And it's really more about the misleading. If they had said, hey, you know, 60 FPS at higher resolutions, told the truth, okay. And it's really more of a pet peeve because Cold Shell are not the only ones that do this. A lot of people have done this. Saying 4K, bro, when it's not really. You know, let's just call things what they are. There's nothing wrong with that. And I sincerely hope that they don't, you know, they either optimize it so it doesn't chug on, this, or they give you a choice. But I will say this. Devs as a whole just need to stop making these false promises if they can't live up to them. Just be 100% honest. That's all we're asking of you. And you know, it's a shame, because most people, you know, Mortal Shell's getting blasted on Twitter right now for this very issue. And they actually put a lot of work into other things. This game really uses the PS5 controller. Both for making your character button-hard pull when you're running out of attacks to remind you of stamina, to letting you know when your hardened shit isn't used to being done, to simulating sounds and sensations, and hitting your weapon, to even simulating a cat's purr when you pet a cat in this game that was fucking adorable, and you say, aww. That actually, they put a lot of effort into using the features of the PS5 controller, and that is absolutely to be commended. And it's a shame that because there's one kind of upfront exaggeration, that now this free upgrade that's pretty good is getting done, and it, you know, all goes back to just stop lying, stop exaggerating. If you're not 4K, say you're not fucking 4K. And this is even Sony did this. You know, trying to call the PS4 Pro a 4K machine is a fucking joke, when in most cases you're lucky if it gets to 1400p. And many games that were upgraded to 1400p, at least in the early days of PS4, ran worse. Fuck, The Last of Us 2 on PS4 Pro ran worse than it did on the base PS4! You know, and I normally show my videos on YouTube at 1080p, but if I showed it at 1080p, you wouldn't be able to see that this wasn't native 4K. And you know, this is a really good game. And I think it's really cool that they didn't upgrade the price, because Mortal Shell is already $30 forever. And it absolutely, you know, is a fucking steal for that. It's not the longest game, but it's a great game, and 30 hours is more, you're getting more than your fair share for that. They could have increased the price to $10 to $40 on next gen, and they didn't. That's pretty cool. And they just kind of got fucked by this, you know, and they said it was a bug. But, you know, to that I say, one, it was a bug they were clearly aware of, that they didn't try to clarify until people called them out on it. And two, the Xbox Series X version is not a fucking bug either. It was purposely at 800p, and that's still not fucking 4K. And, on top of that, we need to have a separate fucking chat about the Series X version. They actually found that the Series X version goes up much higher than the regular game, goes to like 1400p. and can even go above that to like 1600p, which is actually above the bandwidth of a normal S game. The consequence, however, is whereas even Series X can chug every now and then, they're like 80% of the time, 80-90% of the time locked at 60. The Series S version is fucking wildly unstable, and we're talking... shit. We're talking... just a flat-out, as like, spins most of the time at like 40 frames a second. So, in some ways, not good. Actually might be the worst version because of the judder. And they announced that the S version would be 4K 30, which people at first were like, why wouldn't you just go, you know, 1080p 60? But that's not really true either because it's not fucking 4K. So if I was them, what I would do is create 2 modes and make one full 4K at 30. You know they can reach that. And make the other, you know, the standard 14p performance mode, but make the resolution even more aggressive because when you go for performance mode, you want that shit locked down. That's the whole point. Having higher performance is not, you know, worth it if it's not consistent. And that's why I'm worried, because the PS5 version can chug a little bit, and I'm afraid that upgrading the resolution is just going to make that worse. You know? And as much as I like this game, and I think for an indie game dev, the graphics are fucking great, this is not the most demanding game ever. It's honestly, graphically speaking, not that demanding. I mean, if they can get Ghost of Tsushima up to 1800p, 60, and that was just a quick patch, then imagine what they could do. I mean, Watch Dogs Legion, you know you people want to shit on it, but that game was 4K, full 4K, and it had fucking ray tracing. So, you know, and I want people to try this game. I am absolutely in this game's corner. This game is fucking awesome. But I'm not a fanboy. I'm not gonna idly sit by and say, well, I love it, so I can't admit any flaws. When you love something, you're able to fucking critique it. Because you want it to get better, and you can't improve if somebody's always sucking your ass. That's why I don't like a lot of the Souls fan base, because if you have a problem with any of the games, you're not a real fan. Like, yeah, I have every single game in the series, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, you know, I have all the remasters of all those games, the remake of Demon Souls, bought a PS5 for Demon Souls, and I'm gonna get fucking Elden Ring day one, but I have a problem with this one boss fight that I think is unfair, this one mechanic, so I'm not really a fan. It's dumb. And it's the opposite of what I want, because I hate the term fanboy. I prefer Sony over Microsoft. This is a known fact to anyone who knows me. But that being said, I am more than capable of calling Sony out when I think they've done something stupid or there's a problem. Because I do not think that Sony is flawless, nor will I gross over any problems they have, because I'm a fan. Fans critique. Fans criticize. If it's a good fan, then the critique is coming from a good place to help you to get better. It is only through criticism that we were able to excel, to be better. You know? So, I hate in this day and age that I have to couch this entire review by saying, I actually like the game! Spoiler alert! I fucking like it a lot. I counted down the days until the next gen update because I like the game so much. That wasn't a fucking accident. And if my fan base, and I say that there's like 5 people that watch me consistently, but if my fan base wants me to do a full fucking review of this game, examining its personal merits, I will. I'd love to talk about it, but only if the interest is there. And honestly, I think regardless of the system, you really, really should play this game. It's fucking great. no matter what system. Even at 30 FPS, I still love the game, and I highly recommend it if you like Souls-like games. So, you know, I will also be here when they release the patch to upgrade PS5 to 1800p to tell you if they fixed it, reiterate my frustration that 1800p is not fucking 4K, and also see if the frame rate is better or worse. And until then, this is Kieran Reese, the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, the O.C.G, and I am out.